This is DJ Rubbish
on the ones and twos. Not just come here to let y'all know it's about to get real filthy in this mother.
Ready to rock? All right. Welcome to episode 62 of In Todd We Trust. This podcast can now be accessed at itwtpodcast.com for spoiler-free one-sentence reviews, episode descriptions, song of the week playlists, movie soundtrack playlists, and a submission form to be a guest on the show. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as watch on YouTube on Thursdays. Today, special guest and special episode, we have Jalen Beatty in the house. How we feeling, Jalen?
Feeling pretty good, man. Feeling pretty good.
Good, man. Awesome. So Jalen, a little background, is a local videographer, photographer, producer, filmmaker, and storyteller. I feel like there should be a word for just all of that. Maybe there is, and what would it be?
I mean, not to diminish what it is that I do, but it's content creation and visual storyteller.
Got it. Okay, that's probably. I was like, there has to be a better way to summarize this than to just say like 20 different things. So you do a lot of different things. So I want to highlight those. We also have Alex behind the camera, behind the scenes today. You all won't see him, but he is here. He is behind the camera. Currently a senior at the College for Creative Studies, Jalen. How does it feel being a senior? Senioritis kicking in, or is it like hyperdrive now since you're working on something?
Lately it's been hyperdrive to the point that I think I'm gonna overwork myself. I got to remember to take breaks at this point. No senioritis thus far.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a good thing. I'm just really focused on like hitting really big goals, and I think that like the gravity of what those goals are really plays into the drive that I've seen kind of arise in me over the past couple months. So no senioritis.
Got you. No, good, man. I for me, I definitely cannot say that was the same for me. Definitely had some senioritis when it came around. Senioritis in high school and in college, man. So yeah, but College for Creative Studies, I feel like, again, you're working towards something specific here. Yeah. That's kind of why you went there in the first place. So it would be kind of counterintuitive if right now you got into the phase of like, I'm kind of slack. Like,
right.
You kind of have to create some of these opportunities, on your own. Right. If you need his services, certainly hit him up. Great photographer. We did a photo shoot a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Turned out really nice. Detroit native. Do you plan on being here forever?
I do not plan on being here forever. I don't know who said it, but I agree that the best way that you can help the place that you're from is to leave and come back. I think the biggest impact you can make doesn't start with you staying where you're from. And I love to like travel and learn about other places and other people's experiences, and then bring that back to the community that I'm from.
That's a good, that's really good. I had not heard that before, but that's a really good quote. I think I would agree with that. I think I would totally agree with that. There's so much I've learned from not just staying in the same place that I'm from, or even just staying in one place for a long period of time without, branching out, meeting new people, new experiences, so many things that I wouldn't have learned had I not done that. Right. Absolutely. One thing I will say about Detroit, though, and one thing I will not miss when I leave it, is the snow. As well, I mean, I'm from the Midwest. So I've grown up with snow, had snow days, loved it as a child, hate snow as an adult. Just my heart drops. Last night I saw snow coming down and my heart just dropped, man.
Oh my God.
I'm so over it. I can't even put into words how much I hate it now. Even, and there was a time where it was like for Christmas time. Yeah. So holiday season, you want the snow, all that, that's just kind of what you think. You think, Santa and snow and the reindeer and all that stuff, let it snow, the songs. Now I don't even care. I don't need that. I can be at the beach. I don't care. It's not weird anymore. So
and Michigan isn't consistent either. It's like snow and then most the next day and it's slushy, or it coats over and it's ice. It just isn't it's not just one coat of snow
You're
that
right.
you can't appreciate it for too long either.
Very good point. Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah.
it's never just the snow. It's always, again, car crashes and sliding around. It's just all that longer commute to work, all that jazz. Also, quick PSA before we get into the movie and some of that stuff is I just recently discovered Cheerios Oat Crunch Cinnamon. I don't know if that's new, but I had never seen it. I might be super late to the party, but it has changed my life. I'm a Cheerios guy anyway, and I used to love just eating. I could eat cereal for every meal. And I've gotten away from it as an adult just because you realize how expensive some things are, or just how you don't want to waste money. You're more money conscious when you get older. And buying milk is pretty cheap, but it expires quickly. And a lot of times I find myself not drinking the milk before it expired. So I haven't, eaten cereal as a byproduct of that for a lot of years.
Right.
And now I'm like, you know what? I'm getting back into the cereal game. And I went to the store and I was like, let me get like a healthier option. I saw the cinnamon crunch. Yeah. And again, it's changed my life. I've gone through a box in like a weekend. So shout out. If you haven't had it, it's worth the try.
Might have to try that. I'm more Captain Crunch myself.
Okay, Captain Crunch is a classic.
Crunch, but I run into the same issue. I'm not going to lie. I felt bad pouring out a half a gallon of spoiled milk.
Right.
Only to replace it with another full gallon.
Right.
I'm just like, oh my goodness. What am I doing?
Because it's cheap, you go. It's like $2 and something,
like
so you don't. It doesn't kill you too much, but at the same time, it's just like, I can't keep. Again, as an adult,
wasted milk.
Yeah, you can't keep wasting. As a kid, you don't realize how expensive some of this stuff is. Next song of the week. I know I gave you a short heads up here prior to the podcast, but what's your jam for the week?
I've been listening to Blueberry Faygo by Lil Mosey.
Got it. I haven't heard that one
all week.
Is that a Detroit artist?
Nah, I don't think he's local at all.
Okay, got it. So he just likes Faygo.
I mean, like you would hear the title and be like, what could that possibly be about? But it's a bop, man.
Yeah. I like Blueberry Faygo, so I mean the actual drink itself. So
yeah. I don't know. I like the spin on it. It's just like really like make you bop your head.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna definitely check it out then after this podcast.
Blueberry Faygo.
My song is Good Day by Bombay Bicycle Club. Real chill vibes. I actually played it when we were doing the photo shoot. I actually played it. It was on the playlist. It was actually the song where he had a line where it was like, if he said, I would quit my job if I had a job. Yeah, it was like, what? Yeah, you just kind of turn your head like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But anyway, no, that's my jam. It's like something I would throw on a coffee shop playlist. I love like chill vibe. I love a lot of different types of music, but I definitely would add this to my coffee shop playlist. It's a jam, so definitely check it out. I like the group in general anyway. Next we have random rapid fire. So what is particularly interesting about this episode, typically up until this point I've always reviewed movies that are out in theaters, or one time did the Fire Festival doc for Hulu and Netflix, but outside of that always done movies in theaters. Jalen actually is again creating his own short film, which we'll talk about here in a second, which is not out yet, so a little bit unique. So it will be a lot of me just kind of inquiring about the film. But we still have to incorporate random rapid fire, which is one of my favorite segments of the show. Questions that you have no prep for. You have to answer off the top of the dome.
Okay.
All right, go time. First movie you ever saw in theaters?
Do I even know that?
I don't know.
Can I say a stage play? That's not a movie.
Sure. We'll go stage play.
Probably Sesame Street.
Stage play Sesame Street is great.
I don't know.
That's a hard one. I don't even really remember mine. I can think of some that were early, but like Toy Story 2, like Prince of Egypt was a jam. I remember going to see that.
I had that on VHS.
Yeah, me too. If you could have anyone play yourself in a movie, who would it be?
Well, we trying to get Michael B. Jordan to play the one of the characters in the remake, but I feel like it would be at least for this film. What's his name? Michael Rainey Jr.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like he would play me.
The best?
The young me.
The young you? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. Who was your biggest celebrity crush growing up?
That's hilarious. Hannah Montana. No,
Selena
Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez.
Okay,
Selena
all right,
Gomez,
all right, all right. I judge you less for that.
Selena Gomez.
Although Hannah, Miley Cyrus is cute. Miley Cyrus is very, very pretty. So I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I feel you. I feel
Nah,
you.
it was Selena.
Yeah, I
She
love Selena. I
was
still love
She was
Selena.
on Barney, and then she was on.
Yeah, right.
It was Selena.
I still love Selena. If you could grow up in any other city, where would it be?
I kind of grew up all over.
Okay.
But what other city? Definitely not Chicago.
No.
I would have gone back in time and not have had that happen. Probably Kalamazoo.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up like I had like maybe like a 2-year experience there.
Got it. But you would have preferred to have spent the majority of your childhood in Kalamazoo?
I think so.
Got
Just
it,
the
okay.
community feel and
Okay.
like it's a small place where like everybody knows each other.
Nice.
And I think that anybody who was kind of born there and stayed there, you get free tuition.
What?
To go to, I think, Western Michigan. Don't fact check me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm about to say, we got.
But I'm
we gotta
pretty
check
sure.
that out, man.
But I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta check that out. I'm gonna Google that while we're chatting
pretty
here.
That or like somewhere in I don't know, Washington State.
Okay.
I just hear it's quiet over there.
Oh, okay. Somewhere chill and quiet.
Somewhere
That's the
chill.
chill, quiet community. Those are the
Still
big.
quiet community.
Okay, those are the
Yeah.
big things. All right. Who was the first person you'll show this film to when it's completed?
Probably my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't even want her to read the script, and
Really?
then I didn't realize I had my sister come in for a table read,
Yeah.
and she took the script home. And my mom previously, I had been trying to get her to read it, and she just never would pick it up.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that she wasn't like, not interested, but just like, I don't know, not like worried about what she was gonna read or something.
Gotcha.
I don't know. My sister must have gone home and been like, "It was great."
Yeah.
And then she picked it up, read the whole thing. So I was thinking like her first time seeing it was gonna be on screen.
Yeah.
I feel like I would show it to her first.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite picture you've ever taken? Favorite photograph?
I wonder if it's even posted anywhere. Favorite photograph? Probably. Yeah, and it's not anywhere. Going to Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
And taking pictures there because it felt like a time travel.
Really?
And I had proof of it. That's what it felt like.
That's
It felt like
dope.
I time traveled and I had proof of it.
That's pretty cool. That's
So
a
I got,
cool
a
way to
lot of
describe
old
it.
cars, lined up, like all parked, the same way. I think those pictures were really cool.
Dope.
Yeah.
Go-to slushy flavor.
Blueberry fake. No.
All right.
Anything fruit punch, red, or like Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had to rewatch the same movie for the rest of your life, what would it be?
The same movie.
Toughie.
It is tough.
Whatever the first thing that came to your head.
The first thing that came to my head was Moana, and I don't know. I'm like,
See?
what the heck?
Yeah, that's why I love rapid fire because what is the because you have time to think about it, you're like, what's socially acceptable to say? What's like, but Moana's the first thing.
I don't know. That was the first thing that came to my head.
There we go,
I'm just
Moana.
like, it's funny and
That's great.
yeah.
That's awesome. That concludes random rapid fire. Now get into the actual movie here. I'm going to do my best job of giving the description based on the video you sent me, and then obviously
Okay.
we'll get more in depth about it.
All right.
So it's an autobiographical film, told from the perspective of an 8-year-old Jalen, detailing an impressionable boy's journey of finding out what love actually is.
Yeah.
So I would assume if IMDb wrote a description, that's what it would say. Something short and sweet. Again, we'll get more into it here. Release date, I'm assuming sometime 2021. Is that the goal?
Yeah.
Okay. TBD on cast, obviously still working through that. Writer and director, you.
Director, producer, co-producer Thomas.
Co-producer Thomas, nice. Is anyone assisting you with writing or directing?
funny enough, I'm thinking about hiring a dialect coach on set, just so that my biggest concern, which is that the characters don't come off corny for any of the lines that they say. Like, yeah, everything feels very natural and like how people would talk to one another.
Got it.
The only people that have had help are like family. That, quite frankly, most of the lines spoken African American vernacular, the way that I speak, more lax. If they could hear it, right, the dialogue, and it sounded good, they would let me know.
Right.
We did an entire table read. There were like 16 people there.
Okay.
That I just had give me feedback on. Does this sound really natural?
Got it.
Do you think this character would say this? So I think there have been a lot of people who just like help with dialogue, but the story not so much.
Got it. Okay.
I've kind of taken suggestions here and there to change things, but then ultimately ended up going my own way. So, so yeah, I mean, there are a ton of people who have read and given their suggestions. I would say more than a dozen and a half people.
Got it.
Like, been able to read it and give their parts, but ultimately I just kind of do what feels right.
Got it. And then runtime for the movie. How long do you have a target in mind, or are you thinking, just kind of create it and then cut from there?
I think the rough cut might end up being 30 minutes long. But
okay.
If I cut it down to be between 20 and 25.
That's the goal for the short. Okay.
Yeah, 20, 25 minutes.
Got it.
Assuming I don't add anything else.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, there have been so many opportunities to be like, yo, what if we, did this, like with that, add, context here, but there's only so much you can do in a short film,
of course,
block.
So how would you describe this film? What would be your description if you
So it's a story about me and my dad's relationship that, now that I'm 22, has honestly somewhat fizzled out.
Mm-hmm.
It was me taking back ownership of my story. Even though other people were a part of that story, it's still my story from my perspective, how I saw the world. And I also can't tell you who this quote is from, but it's almost verbatim. There's a quote that says, if you wanted me to write warmly about you, you would have treated me better. So I don't owe anybody a great, how do you say it? Portrayal.
Yeah.
If that's not what's true.
Right.
From my perspective. So, my mom is in the film, my dad is in the film, and it was an experience of me growing up a little bit, because my dad went from being my hero, the guy that I want to be just like, to me finding out that he wasn't faithful, or at least to what my 8-year-old brain could understand. What his definition of love and my definition of love is what I knew to be right and wrong were different.
Got it.
And it was confusing at 8 years old.
Right.
To not see the person that you look up to necessarily be perfect all the way around.
Right.
So there was that.
That is, so the point about, how people are portrayed in movies, I actually had a note about that. I was, I always find it interesting with autobiographical films when, someone creates them and there's certain family members who come out and they're super offended by how they're portrayed. It happens every single film. Every single autobiographical film, there's people that come out, they're upset, they want to sue, I don't like how I'm portrayed. And the thing is, that's that person's perspective.
Right.
Like that's now I understand if it's I go and create a movie about Michael Jackson. Like, I don't really know. I'm going based off of what I know from the fan perspective. So I can understand where Janet might be pissed of how I portray her based off of what I'm just reading and research. However, if Michael creates a film on his, again, RIP, but if he creates a film on his own life and portrays his father in a certain light and his father gets mad, it's like, well, this is how I viewed it. This is from my perspective. This is how it went down. So, again, that's a good point that you made there. I like that quote a lot. And then, kind of moving on. So, when you first, or I guess the first thing I want to know is what inspired you to make this movie? Has this been something you've wanted to do for a long time, or what?
Yeah, actually, it's let me make sure I'm politically correct, but I've wanted to tell more stories with people that look like me.
Yeah.
But previously, I've looked at every assignment like it's just a school project.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like the audience that I wanted to speak to was what was predominantly in my classroom.
Yeah.
So I strayed away from those narratives because I thought, well, maybe they won't understand what the story is.
Yeah.
And then will I be able to get critical feedback that helps me tell this story?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I've learned that that's not the biggest issue in the world.
Yeah.
And that quite frankly, black story, white story, there are themes in this story that apply across the board to many people's experience. And so I said, okay, well, it's my senior year and I still haven't done what I came here to do.
Yeah.
And so if there's any other time
to
do this, it's now.
Absolutely.
To finally make an effort to tell the kind of story that I want to tell, so that coming out of this institution,
right,
I have a body of work that I can say that's me.
Right.
And so I just kind of reached back into my recessive life experiences and said, well, I think I had written like 15 pages of like different stories that I could tell, and then say which one is gripping for me that like scares me to go, oh, should I talk about that? And I'm one of those people that's like, if I can't do something, or if I'm scared of something, or if something makes my stomach tighten up, I'm like, I've got to do it now. And so I mean, being just worried about like how people would feel about being portrayed, or the story talks about an experience I had with my dad that my mom never had confirmed. I'm like, am I about to burst her bubble?
Right.
But pulling these things back, from where they were very
pushed down.
And I said, you know what, I can't worry about that. I got into this to tell my story.
Right.
And I think at some point I just decided, like, well, this will be the first one
that
I tell. Because the one thing about me and my father's relationship is he was my biggest supporter ever. I mean, he was so proud of me. And for various reasons, our relationship is not what it could have been.
Right.
And I miss my dad. But at the same time, I don't want to see him again. And that's a tough place to come from, but it's to say, like, I love you, but there were hard times in my life that, like, you were a part of, but there were also really good times that I still look back on and appreciate for what they were from an 8-year-old's perspective.
Right. And I think that's good too with again, everyone, you never know what people are dealing with, and when you go back, obviously there's going to be things in your life that didn't go the way you wanted them to, or again, things that you thought were a great situation. You look back and you're like, wait, that actually was kind of effed up, that you didn't realize again at an 8-year-old adolescent age. But it is good to be able to look back and say, I still appreciate that time. Like, that was still a good summer. That was still a great time we had going to the movies. Like, it doesn't negate everything great that happened just because of certain instances that weren't great.
Exactly.
So I think that's important, and the maturity to know that at 22 and again older, and not just resent, but be able to appreciate some of those times. As you kind of mentioned how you were hesitant to write this film because of the feedback you were might receive, or the lack thereof, feedback, or good feedback, proper feedback from your peers. Who do you think has influenced your writing and directing style? Then again, obviously, I'm sure there's some famous people you could pull from, which you can speak on those, but even maybe peers or teachers. at the institution that even though you weren't necessarily creating this story until now, who have influenced you, how you're writing this?
I've got a friend by the name of Kara Bolton.
Okay.
She's a writer, she's a producer, a filmmaker like me. And I met her and another director named Cassidy Friedman.
Okay.
And their influence in my life has been to show me that I have powerful things to say if I choose to say them. And that nobody else can tell my story for me. And I think as a black man, sometimes I'm put in a lot of situations where people want to try to control my narrative. And you know, create an idea of who I am just based on presumptions and you know, their own biases, right?
Yep.
To create an idea of who you are as a person, you know, sometimes based on the color of your skin.
Right.
Right. And it was something that I had a conversation with them about, where it's like, why can't I control what that story is? And they're like, you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not realizing how powerful of a medium film is.
Yeah.
For the sake of changing minds or opening people up to new ideas or making people feel something. I think that they saw a lot of potential in me with the things that I was dealing with to say, you could talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I can.
Yeah.
Like I can. You sure?
Right.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
And they're like, yes. Like, you can control that narrative. And it's like my whole, I feel like, purpose in life, to some extent, is to then convey that same message to younger versions of me. You know, people who are feeling held back by, you know, what your parents think of you,
Right.
or what your peers think of you, or what the judicial system thinks of you,
Right.
or what the country's culture historically thinks of you, and that you don't have to be held back by that, and you can completely flip that on its head.
Yeah.
And say, well, actually, this is how I think about me in the situation that I came from, and it's not all a negative thing. And so I think realizing that, like, if that's my goal, is to encourage young, people of color and just young people in general, to not feel held back by a narrative that they didn't create on their own. I'm like, well, it's worth it to, like, get out of my comfort zone to make the thing that I wanted to make anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it serves a bigger purpose.
Yep.
Than just me overcoming that.
Yeah, I like that. So, to the point of, the box that you might be put in by society or the country or whatever the case may be, judicial system, as far as who you are based on the color of your skin or gender or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever the identifier is. I think it's important to remember that some of the stuff is stuff that people created. So, like, the stereotypes that are associated with color or age or gender, some of these things are just things that we created. So I think you have to remember that, like, okay, when you're born, these things aren't instilled in you, so you can do and be whoever you want to be.
Right.
So I try not to get, caught up in, and every person deals with different prejudices that, this is natural. Your mind wants to put people and things into boxes to better understand the world. So you just have to fight through that sometimes. And I was having this conversation with someone recently, but you have to fight through some of those prejudices and some of those biases that you might have, and understand that, you don't have to like a certain type of music. You don't have to like a certain type of film. You don't have to tell certain types of stories just because you're a black male. Like, you can do what, as someone said, and I think a lot of times people say stuff that they don't even realize. Like, I was talking with someone, like, I coach at Orange Theory, and I was talking with someone the other day about playlists, like, for class. and they were like, you should play, like, they really wanted me to play this one Travis Barker song, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I've never even heard that song. Like, I was like, yo, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna play whatever I want to play or something. Like, I was joking with them, whatever. It's all in fun. And they're like, as long as you play a song, they're like, you could play like, rap the whole time if you want, just as long as you play a song. And it was funny that they just assumed that what I would want to play would be rap.
Right.
I never said that. I never said what my preference was.
Right.
And again, I enjoy rap, but I also enjoy I like a lot of alternative rock or classic rock. I'm not a huge Travis Barker guy. But and I love pop. I love pop.
Yeah.
I love alternative music. I love jazz. So again, just assuming that, she didn't say it. It wasn't trying to be. But it's interesting that you assume that is going to be my primary go-to.
Right.
And honestly, I mean, you heard my playlist I made for the other day. It was mostly pop. It was like random pop songs. That is a lot of what I listen to. But again, interesting how some of those stereotypes are created. For this piece, and I guess anything for you as a creator in general. What other pieces of art have inspired you to create? And when I say other pieces, I mean outside of just film or TV, like, whether it's musicians, painters, dancers, anything like that has inspired you.
Ask me one more time.
So, outside of film, what are other avenues of art that have inspired you in the way that you create? So whether it's been like a musician that might inspire the way that you write, or a painter that inspires the way that your creative process, anything like that.
I'm gonna say something funny. I never listened to Detroit rap. Yeah. Because I was like, I'm from the hood, but I don't really feel. I wasn't out in the streets. Right. And I saw a lot, but it was just because that was the nature of the neighborhood I was in. Not because I was a part of it. I saw it from the window. Right. And I saw that my homeboy was a part of it, but I wasn't a part of it. From the window. And like recently, I think just like growing up and people just offer less how do I say it? It's not mercy. Necessarily, but less grace as you get older. Right? It's more like, well, you're an adult now. You should deal with that. Yeah. And so there have been so many moments where I'm like, dang, I feel like I'm being crucified right now. And then I'm listening to these songs like like Rod Wave just blew up. I guess you would call it hip hop. He's singing on the track, and just the rasp in the voice, you just feel it in your soul. When he's talking about whether you can relate to it or not. I was just personally in my own life feeling so much pushback in every single avenue. Yeah. That I'm like, the reason you can like feel what he's talking about is because he's talking about what's real in his life. He's not like trying to fluff over or make people feel comfortable. Right. He sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like raw and like pain turned into something beautiful. Right. And so that was another aspect of like, I think what I was trying to get into this film, which is that like there, not to be cliche, but there's beauty sometimes in the midst of like really difficult times if you allow it to be. And I think the most powerful thing, and my great granddad would always say, just keep smiling. Yeah. Right? Like they can't take that from you. Right. The most powerful thing is a black man's smile. Yeah. I think. Like, I mean, you can be going through so much, but it takes a lot of strength to like keep smiling, to remember like to count your blessings and like, understand in perspective what there is to still be happy about. Like I woke up this morning, and like the sun's not out, but it just peeked through just a little bit.
We're in Michigan, so yes, that sun is few and far between, man.
So it was like I was like, that's one thing for sure. It's like I want to talk about something real. Yeah. And I realized like whenever I make an attempt to do that, it reaches. Yeah. And when I don't, it doesn't, and that just it makes sense. Yeah. It's, so it's like if so that was one thing. I think another thing is like Gary Vee. Talking about just like, well, not giving a bleep And that's one. Another thing that he says is, what does he say? You can cut out all of this, me thinking stuff.
Man, no, man, it's all in there. It's all in there.
What does he say? That like basically giving away your weaknesses doesn't make you more vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Eminem in that last battle in 8 Mile. It's like, well, now you don't have anything else to say, because I've said it about myself, and I think it's just made me a stronger and more confident in who I am as a person, kind of person. So like I own my story, and then also realize that it doesn't define me. So like I've also put a lot of that into like my writing, because I think, quite frankly, that makes it a stronger thing altogether. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I think, and that's why I ask the questions, because I find that inspiration sometimes comes from a lot of different places, and there are things or people that inspire a certain process that you would never link together. Again, you would never link sometimes, like, what inspired my photography was this painter or this motivational speaker, or, whatever the case may be. Like for me, and we chatted about this, I think I mentioned this when we were there, we were talking about like different photography on Instagram a couple weeks ago, and I follow a lot of ballerinas on IG, which you hear that and you're just like, what, that's kind of odd, but they take really graceful pictures, they take really beautiful pictures. So I follow a lot of ballerinas just because, again, I just like really good photography, and it gives you a lot of ideas. So it's just inspiring to see like their art, and even like dance videos. So I really like watching dance videos. So just seeing how much time, and ballerinas, if you don't know, they dedicate a lot of their time to that craft. Same way with any craft, people dedicate a lot of time, but like ballerinas are one where it's like very intense. Gymnasts are another one where it's very intense, and you start at a really young age in order to get to a certain point. Not to diminish the work that goes into maybe some other sports, but like football. Like I've heard stories of guys was like, oh, he didn't play until he was a junior in high school and was a monster, and then ended up getting recruited D1 or something like that. Or a guy who started playing basketball junior year of high school. Whereas like gymnasts, it's like, no, she was doing it at like 3 and she had to stop. They're like, Tiger was playing golf at 2. So you hear those guys, those really greats at those sports have to start really young, and then they're hours a week for umpteen years in a row. So that's just really inspiring for me, again, from just a focus standpoint, and then the beauty that comes from it, and just the body control, all that stuff. So yeah, that was really good for me. Who has been the most supportive with your journey with this film so far, and help it come to life?
In any aspect.
Any aspect, yeah. So just from the stresses of it to the literal, writing and behind the scenes stuff, or just any of that. Who has been the most supportive of just allowing this story to come true?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Who's been the most supportive?
I'm not gonna lie, when I was writing these, I was like, honestly, like, Oprah wasn't that great. You know what I mean? Like, when you really think about it, I'm like, if Oprah, I can do it,
Put my grandma on TV.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna meet Oprah one day. That's gonna happen. But who's been most supportive? I don't know. That's an interesting question, because I feel like the people who know the people in the story are portrayed in the story. Some have seen it as like, oh, are you still upset about that? And I'm like,
oh yeah.
It's not so much that. They're like, well, you need to, you make sure you forgive. And I'm like, I've forgiven. I'm good. This is a whole different thing.
It's bigger than that,
my sisters are really supportive, because my sisters, I think my family in general, I think some people see me as like Hollywood now. I'm I'm not Hollywood yet. But I think that they see a lot of potential
Right.
in this story. So my family's been really supportive, especially lately. Like as it's come together and it's like, oh, like this is happening. Like,
Yeah.
this is for real. This is not just a school project. Like this is like my.
Life's
I was
work.
about to say coming to Jesus. This is not my no.
But
This is it's the 10,000 hours now manifested into, oh wow, you were actually learning something in school.
Yeah.
So I think that like my family, they'll read the script and they're like, I'm in tears right now.
Yeah.
So I think in the sense that I didn't necessarily feel the support in my school community for the okay, how do I say this? The kind of confidence that I needed built in me to tell this story, I couldn't get from school.
Got it.
And it's not just because they're people my age or whatever, but it's that idea that like when I say, does this story mean something to you?
Yeah. Only
People who I think can relate to it, which that doesn't point to any specific race or gender.
Right.
Only people that can relate to it, and I felt like in my soul that like I think this really touched them.
Yeah.
That's what gave me the confidence to move forward so strong with this piece. And so I think that anybody that was able to do that for me definitely is a big contributing factor to like why I feel so strongly about telling this story.
Yeah.
And then on the behind the camera end, Thomas has been probably my next biggest help bringing this thing to life.
Got it.
Everything.
Thomas, did I call you Alex to start?
You did.
I did call you Alex. Where'd I get Alex from? I don't know. I just pulled that out of nowhere. My bad, Thomas. I thought about it. I'm like, where did I get that from? All right.
That's my middle name, actually.
Oh, really?
Alexander. Yeah. But no, everything on the back end, probably there's just so much work before you actually shoot that shooting is like the easiest part.
Yeah. Like
everything coordination wise and casting and preparing for table reads and doing auditions and all of that stuff is just so much to take on.
Yeah.
And I'm so silly that I've got like a 15-person cast. Like, why did I do that to myself?
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people to kind of just manage and micromanage.
Yeah.
Outside of having then another 30 hands or so.
Yeah.
On crew to like just help with different parts of bringing that together.
So wait, question: is this something that you have to complete before the end of school?
Well, we're trying to figure that out ourselves. I think that to do it the best and to do it justice, technically I have another semester.
Oh, okay.
So like the film would be done before summer's over.
Okay.
Like as far as like the edit, but that doesn't mean I can't come back, show it and screen it at the school and then get feedback for a final cut.
Yeah.
So I think that it'll be done this year, but besides trying to get it done before this semester is up, we just want to do it justice.
Right.
So it's kind of whatever it takes, and I think from that perspective, people will be willing to kind of bend the rules a little bit and give us some more time. But
how would you describe your writing style? Like, what can we expect to see? So, audience, what could you compare to that already exists that that we could
You said does the audience exist?
No. So, what could the audience expect to see? That already exists. Out. Like, what can you compare this work to? Like a film or something that already exists. Hmm.
Well, I've already been quoted saying I haven't seen too many other films that talk about this subject matter in particular. But I will say that I pulled a lot of reference from films that date back 15 years ago because the story takes place about 15 years ago.
Got it.
So like early 2000s.
Okay.
And I think that I wanted to feel extremely naturalistic as far as lighting and just, you know, the way it's shot. It's not, you know, a sci-fi thriller. I'm not, you know.
There's gonna be explosions, Michael Bay film. Like it's in the apartment, and then all of a sudden, like boom.
I mean, it's a drama, but the drama is in the story and not so much in the
action.
Yeah, like the action. Yeah.
Car chase.
Right, no car chase.
Just randomly in the movie for no reason.
Which I've been in a car chase. I can
really?
write about that. Yeah.
So, there we go. It's part 2.
Yeah, I just redirected your whole question, but all right, ask me something else. I'm thinking about that.
Go. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
What type of pieces are your favorite to write? So, you know, completely independent from this film. Like, do you like writing poetry? Do you like writing short films? Do you like writing raps? You know, you got some bars on. You know,
I got bars.
Yeah.
People don't know that though, because I write poetry, and poetry is like rap without the melody.
100% is rap. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I personally think that I write pretty powerful things when I really put my mind to it, and when I have something to say.
Yeah.
I think I take a lot from poetry. In fact, my teacher is always like, "Stop! You know, you write so flowery. You know, like it's just so poetic. You know what I mean?" I think in every single line, like instead of like she opened the door, it's like with a light touch to the hand. Like I don't know. No, I don't write like that. But I do enjoy writing.
If I see an Instagram caption like that, I'm gonna be like, man.
Yo,
I'm about to hit
man.
that unfollow. I'll message you before, don't let you know, like, hey, bro, no love lost, but I'm about to hit that unfollow. Like.
No, I do like poetry, and I think that it creeps into my writing a little bit sometimes. But,
Gotcha.
No, I don't write as much poetry as I wish I did, but I think that as long as I have a creative outlet where like I'm making, I don't hold it against me too much.
Cool. Yeah. If you could be a part of a writing room for any show, what would it be? A famous show that already exists, or it could be a past show that's off air. But if you could be a part of a writing room,
only because I've come in close contact with the cast and
be a good one.
other people involved. Either better be a good one.
Yeah.
One show that has interested me because I'm in college and I'm not in an HBCU and I'm dealing with identity and masculinity and I don't know,
real world.
a bunch of
Like,
real world stuff, right?
No, I mean the show Real World on MTV. Be like, you know, honestly, I'd be on, you know, Real World Cancun, right?
I think I'd write for is it Grownish?
Oh, okay, cool.
Is it Grownish?
Yeah.
I think because
The spinoff of Blackish.
I think those themes relate to me so much right now that I feel like I'd be writing from a real place.
Yeah.
Because I think
see Anthony Anderson playing you in like 15 years in a role.
I think you can feel like your voice is like you don't have the voice that you want in spaces like that. Where like even how it's depicted in the show, where it's like, you know, you can speak very openly about things that bother you. I think I'd be writing from a real place, and it would feel very cathartic. I think that's the word.
Okay.
Being able to voice some of those things and then have dialogue like this about like it opens up a world to like that discussion being more vocalized.
Got it.
Yeah.
As far as characters, so I want to chat a little bit about the characters, the casting. So you say you got 15 people that you're casting for this film. How far are we along with that process? Do we have some people that are definite spots that are definitely going to be in the film, or is it all up in the air right now? And what are you looking for mainly in these? Obviously, from role to role, it'll change a little bit, but in general, what are you looking for the cast?
I said 15, but it's kind of, it varies because about 3 or 4 of those are kind of extra background characters.
Got it. Okay.
So it's not as particular who or what kind of, role they are. The cast is primarily children.
Got it.
It's predominantly women.
Okay.
And I think there are only 3 adults in the entire film.
Okay.
So, 3 adults, cast of 15, 16, that leaves what? 13 children? 13 people under the age of 16, or at least playing under the age of 16. The main characters are a father named Terry, his son Jay, Terry's girlfriend,
right,
on the side, Trish, and then Jay's mother, and the girlfriend's daughter. I think that's the main, and half of those are casted. So there, I think I could confidently say 9 people of 14, 13 that are crucial cast. Are casted.
Okay, got it. What else about ask you about the cast? Are there any people that you're scared? Again, I know you're hesitant to make the film or for some time now. Are there people that you're scared to see the film? That you're scared for them to see it?
Absolutely not.
Nope. It's very
absolutely not.
Nice.
I think that I've gotten to a place where there was the only intention was to share the underlying message, which for me was that love and how it's communicated to children at an early age. It's seen as a really complex thing. And for our adults out there, just to understand and be cognizant of what that looks like to children. That was one thing, and I think that the meaning derived from what will come with the film is so much more powerful than the depictions of the characters. That I think you won't get lost in that. And I've kind of learned that firsthand with letting people close to the story. Know the story in its entirety. And it's not a sad story.
Right.
In fact, I think that it's enlightening. It's fun at times. It's nostalgic, but it's far from trying to take digs at people. I think that everyone who's read it, they haven't taken it the wrong way. So I'm not so concerned about that being an issue. Good.
No, that's. I mean, I feel like I feel very strongly about whatever I say or do. I want to be confident that no matter who knew I said this or did this, I'd be comfortable with them knowing. Again, just having integrity, but just being 100% confident. I'm I don't want to be something where I go and tell Thomas yo, Jalen is this, that, and the third, and then you confront me about it, and I feel like I have to retread or backpedal. It's no, I said it. I want to be able to stand on what I said, so I'm just careful about the things that I say and the things that I do, because again, or if I say something to you, I want it to be where it's okay, if my grandma knew I said that, she would still be proud of me or still look at me the same way. So I think that has to be with also the works that you create. I mean, for this, this is on a much lesser scale, my podcast. I want this to be something that, again, my grandmother will watch this on YouTube. So it's I don't want to say anything super crazy on here, and it's oh well, wait, who is this Todd? Or I don't want one person to know one thing about me or think
Yeah.
one way of me, and then if you ask another person, they describe a completely different person. So
Right.
that's kind of what comes to mind when you kind of
Yeah.
went through that.
I'm excited for this story.
I'm excited to see it, to be honest with you. And then, wait, real quick, because you mentioned this right before. What were you going to ask me to, who were you going to ask me to audition for? What role?
Oh, I mean, if we got, we got a few adult roles, but,
I need to be suave. I need, as long as I'm cool, I could,
as
whatever.
long as you cool. To be honest, I've been writing in characters just because, I thought it would add some texture to the story.
Gotcha.
But there's actually only one adult guy in the whole thing.
Is it just your dad? Is that-
Yeah. So unless you look baby faced, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? There's one role that I'm like, I think the kid could be a teenager, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of been back and forth about that. But
Yeah. It's like a whole bunch of like 8-year-olds and then me like sitting crisscross trying to act like I'm trying to play a 9-year-old.
That's how it would be. That's exactly how it would be. That would be funny. Oh my goodness, that's a Disney Channel movie.
Yeah, anyway,
Have a
exactly.
20+-year-old play it.
Everyone be like, James' film was good, but did anyone notice the 26-year-old
26-year-old in the
playing
corner?
Legos? Like, what was that about?
Yeah.
It just panned past me real fast. You try to go quick with the
Yeah.
shooting. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been really picky about how I cast it too.
That's good.
I think it's not just closeness to the subject matter, but in the story, but just making sure that what I want to get across comes across the best way. So like with and you might actually be able to help me with this. I feel like
I don't know. Maybe.
the character for Terry, we've got a bunch of options, but nobody picked it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I'm looking for the kind of, I think the way I describe Terry is he's oh my goodness, I'm sorry, this is so sideways, but I know that guy. He's also an actor.
Who just walked past?
He's walking
Great.
across the street. His name is London Aaron.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. Anyway, I probably should have asked him. Anyway, if you see this, bro, what's up? But Terry is a smooth. What did I say? He's a muscle-bound, hard-working, proud father of 2 by day. And then a smooth-talking, promiscuous womanizer by night.
Got it.
So, like, the guy in the beginning of the story, I think, if I'm not giving too much away, it's just the best father he could possibly be.
Got it.
And I want it to seem that way. And he's blue collar worker, drives a delivery truck, and still happens to be, in the eyes of his son, the greatest dad in the world.
Yeah.
And so I just been trying to find that and as close to that I could find, but then also a real smooth guy.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't say that that's been tough, but I've put a lot more effort into like making sure that that's right.
Yeah. He's going to be a huge focal point. Outside of yourself, he might be the biggest character. So,
it kind of revolves around him.
Yeah, so you have to get that right. If you don't get any other role right, you got to get it. So
get
that
makes
one
sense.
right.
Yeah.
Stepping away from the film for a quick moment here, and then we'll just go over some of the, what you want to get out of this film, and again, you coming up on the show and everything like that. Outside of film, outside of photography, all the things you're pursuing, academically, professionally, what are some other things that, some other ventures that you might want to see, or some other talents you have, hidden talents, skills, hobbies? I don't know if you really like baking or anything random like that.
I like making music.
Okay.
I think that music as a creative outlet is one of the most freeing things. Me and probably everybody else that I know, some people better than others. You can come up with a song or a melody in your head in seconds.
Yeah.
Just like driving with no music on in your car, you can kind of just like, you know what I mean? You can come up with something. So I think I love making music. I think I'm not fluid enough for like any instrument to like go, oh, that's a C sharp or that's
right.
But I do like making music, and I've started like playing around making beats and stuff like that, and it's fun. I mean, that's one. Outside of filmmaking, I think I'm getting to a place where I like to be in front of the camera.
Okay.
I don't know if that spells acting for the future or not. But it is not in front of the camera, it's in front of groups of people. So like public speaking, I do a lot just like in my community, talking to young people in schools around Detroit is something I've like tried to make a lot of time toward doing, and I think that it's made a positive impact. I mean, with, in my opinion, me not necessarily being anybody, big yet as far as what I see for myself in the future.
Right.
These kids are just looking for a role model, and I think somebody from their own community coming to tell them about what they could do and could be, and to chase that with everything you've got because it's worth it. I think I've seen that as being like something that I needed growing up, and I don't think that it's been in vain. So like that's another thing that I make sure whenever I have an opportunity to do that, I treat it like, yo, like if somebody had done this for you, like your life may have, been different, or if they had done it for the guy next to you, like so I take that really seriously too. Just opportunities to mentor.
It's dope, man. That's awesome. Yeah, it's all about giving back, man, paying it forward. Nothing great can be accomplished alone, so I wouldn't be in the position I'm in without a ton of help. So it would only be right, if I help other people. So key messages from this, just kind of wrapping up. What at the end of the day, what does success look like for this film?
Success for this film, I think, I think one thing is to push it through the festival circuits.
Okay.
Have as many people, or have this message reach as many people as possible. But then also to establish the audience that I think I speak to most. Not like this is what do you call it? What did he say? A test group or like a
oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's the first film that I want to say this is who Jalen Beatty is.
Cool, man.
So I think success for this is having as many people get this message as possible.
Would you ever create a show similar to like a Little Bill, where it's more digestible for children, but
That's funny.
But still kind of? And I asked because I love that show and totally want to make that style. I actually want to make a children's book to that. Again, I know Little Bill actually started as a book series and then became the show, but like that would be kind of dope to like create.
Yeah, it's funny that this idea has been thrown around 100 million times in the past month.
Yeah,
but
it's like immediate thing that comes to mind.
Even just like with the way that we've gone to design the concept art, I think it puts you in the mind of like, I could see stories like this being for little, black and brown kids to be able to relate to the subject matter that you could tell in a cartoon, essentially. Of course, dial back a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I think that would be amazing to be able to do. To discuss more topics like these for the audience that probably really needs to hear it most. Yeah. And learn that like the situation that you go through, we've been through. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's one thing that's been talked about a lot. That I've been like actively thinking about.
Nice. Yeah, I did immediately. Again, I was thought of that, and I was like, I wonder if he's, I'm sure that's been thrown out there, which it has been. Two other questions I have for you, and then we'll wrap it up. What music are you planning to use for this film? Like, do you plan to kind of curate, just take from songs that already exist, or do you want to get someone to make a original score, or have you thought about that?
I've thought about the fact that it can be so difficult as an independent filmmaker to tell the story the way that I want to tell it, because so many aspects of it that I want to include, there are some copyrighted things.
Oh yeah, some funding. Yeah.
That like I'm not just using it because I think it fits, but it was a part of that story.
Yeah.
And so in the most ideal situation, it would be to recreate the story, not just as it happened, but with aspects that give context to exactly what that was like.
Yeah.
So whether that be music, the kind of music that was playing at the time, that me and my dad would vibe to,
right.
and
that makes sense.
Or to what's playing on TV at the time,
right.
Like to have rights to that kind of stuff to make it a timepiece.
Yeah.
That really speaks to like when this happened would be amazing. Now, it always takes a long time for them to get back to you about stuff like that, but that's the goal. Is if I can get pieces like that to be able to use, that would be amazing. Outside of that, I think if it fits to have a score made for the film, in certain parts where maybe there's just dialogue or whatnot, that's something that I'm considering too.
And then what do you need from us? So the people out here that want to see this film come to light, how can we help?
We have it's only been up a week. Started a funding campaign that's gone really well so far, but we're trying to keep that momentum going,
right?
To be able to fund this project, everything all the overhead that goes into it, whether that's camera gear, whether that's location, securing locations, and making sure that you feed your crew, because a favorite crew and cast is a happy cast and crew,
right?
And then for the people who are spending a lot of time, investing days and hours onto this project, to be able to look out for them in any way that we can too, and just make it a very easygoing environment to produce something great. We need to fully fund this film. So that's the one thing that we're focusing on right now.
Cool.
Is making sure that campaign goes really well.
Do we have a website?
Yeah. If you search it on Indiegogo, it's Love dash an autobiographical drama.
Got it. Okay.
I'm sure there's another way that we can put the link somewhere, but also it's on Instagram at love.thefilm.
There we go. Yeah, go to love.thefilm on Instagram. And
links in the bio.
Dope. All right, cool. Well, yeah, if you're if you want to see this film come to light like I do, go and donate there. Upcoming film. Any upcoming film you're excited about?
That I'm excited about. I heard, as I'm thinking about it, I heard that Just Mercy was a really good film.
Really good. Really, really good. I reviewed it a couple weeks back.
Yeah. I won't watch that. I'll just no spoilers, maybe.
I won't, but I spoil everything on here, so definitely make sure you watch the movie before you listen to the podcast. Although it is a real movie, so a real story. So
I don't know what other films, off the top of my head,
Just Mercy's a good one.
Are coming out soon, but that's one that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Cool. Mine is The Batman. I'm extremely skeptical of Robert Pattinson as the Batman, but hopefully it's not horrible. My bar is super low right now, so if they go worse than that, then they just really did a bad job. It's slated for June 21st, 2021, so they got some time to get the hype up. I'm sure we're gonna be seeing some. We've seen little releases of like I just saw like last week of his initial photos of what the costume will look like, what his and everything like that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see what happens. But that's all I had, man. That is all I had. I appreciate you coming up here.
Thank you. Man.
Absolutely, coming up chatting about the film. So I'm excited about it, and everyone listen, definitely go check out his Instagram page and his work, and follow the journey of this film. And when it comes out, so I'll go watch it.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, good luck with everything, and I appreciate you coming up. Everyone, thanks for listening. Until next week, peace.
Peace.